After you sleep with a woman, don't vanish. Respect her, reassure her, and remain consistent. Your actions after intimacy reveal your true character. Women remember how you made them feel after, not just during. If you want respect, show it. If you want trust, earn it. Don't play, lead. When it comes to relationships and intimacy, many people forget a crucial truth. Respect doesn't end at intimacy. For a lot of men, once they've slept with a woman, there's a shift. The energy changes. The consistency fades. The calls become fewer, the texts slower, and the warmth disappears. But here's the truth. Intimacy is not a reward. It's a responsibility. A woman choosing to be vulnerable with you, emotionally and physically, is not something to be taken lightly. That moment of closeness should deepen the connection, not reduce it to a one-time transaction. You see, what you do after you sleep with her speaks louder than what you did to get her. The way you treat her once the clothes are off reveals whether you're emotionally intelligent or just another guy playing a short game. And women notice it deeply. They may not always say it out loud, but they feel it. If you suddenly become distant, avoidant, or cold, she'll recognize it as a sign that she was used, not valued. It's not about pretending to care. It's about genuinely showing care and empathy for the person who shared a moment of raw vulnerability with you. True respect is about consistency. It's about how you speak to her, how you show up, and how you make her feel after that moment of closeness. Did you ask how she felt? Did you follow up with affection or reassurance? Did you continue to speak with clarity and intention? Or did you ghost her, turn cold, or act like you had just checked a box? Too many men are guilty of changing once they've gotten what they wanted. But if you're aiming to be a man of value, that behavior won't get you far. It only builds a reputation that you can't sustain real connection, and more importantly, that you're not safe, emotionally or mentally, for any woman who lets her guard down around you. Respect after intimacy means treating her with the same energy, admiration, and attention you gave her before. It means acknowledging the emotional side of sex, something many people want to ignore. It's not about becoming clingy or overly involved. It's about maturity. It's about having the decency to handle a situation with care, clarity, and class. Women are not just physical beings. They are emotional, intuitive, and deeply responsive to energy. When they feel you retreat after sex, it doesn't just break the connection, it breaks trust. Being respectful after intimacy isn't just about her. It reflects who you are. A man who respects a woman through all stages of interaction, before, during, and after, earns something that can't be faked, respect in return. And that is far more valuable than any temporary thrill. There's a critical moment that often gets overlooked after intimacy, the post-intimacy window. That period, whether it's the first few minutes, hours, or even days after sex, sets the tone for everything that comes next. Most people spend so much energy trying to get to the point of intimacy that they forget what happens after is just as, if not more, important. This window is where true character, emotional maturity, and genuine intention are revealed. It's not about grand gestures or poetic words. It's about how present you remain when the vulnerability is at its highest. In that moment, a woman is not just looking at how you touched her. She's observing how you now treat her. Does your tone shift? Do your words still carry the same weight? Are you attentive or are you distracted? Women are intuitive. They can sense emotional withdrawal even before it becomes obvious. If you start to pull away, even subtly, she feels it. And whether she voices it or not, she starts making mental notes. Those notes become emotional conclusions, ones that determine how safe, valued, or disposable she feels in your presence. The post-intimacy window is where trust is either solidified or slowly destroyed. When a man stays consistent, affectionate, communicative, respectful, it tells a woman that the experience wasn't just a physical high, but a meaningful connection. On the other hand, When a man suddenly becomes cold, indifferent, or too casual, it screams that he only showed up for the physical. And no matter how much she might have enjoyed the moment, the emotional fallout from that shift can be heavy. This window also sets expectations. If you're serious about building something real, your actions after intimacy need to reflect that. This is the moment where reassurance matters, where words must be followed by action, and where the emotional environment you create can make or break the dynamic. Does she feel seen or just used? Does she feel emotionally fed or emotionally abandoned? Some men believe pulling away keeps the power in their hands, but what it really does is erode the potential for genuine connection. Emotional safety doesn't kill attraction, it deepens it. It creates a space where both people can be open, honest, and fully themselves. And that starts with how you show up in the aftermath of intimacy. How you handle this window says everything about your emotional capacity. It's not about being overly romantic or suddenly planning the future. It's about consistency, presence, and integrity. That short span of time, those few hours or days, can leave a lasting imprint in her mind. Whether she remembers it as comforting or confusing, respectful or reckless, is entirely up to how you move. And trust, she'll never forget how you made her feel when the lights dimmed and the real you showed up. For many women, words are nice, but they're not enough. Words can charm, soothe, seduce, and even manipulate, but it's the actions that leave the deepest impact. Women feel through what you do, not just what you say. You can tell her you care 1,000 times, but if your behavior tells a different story, she'll eventually believe your actions over your promises. This is especially true after intimacy. That's when words become cheap and real intentions are exposed. It's easy to say, "I respect you," but what does that look like in your actions? Do you call her after sex, or do you disappear until the next time you want her? Do you treat her with the same warmth and attention you gave before you slept with her? Or do you turn cold and distant the moment you've gotten what you wanted? These are the questions that shape how a woman feels about you, not just emotionally, but energetically. Her heart listens to consistency, not compliments. Her intuition picks up on patterns, not poetry. Women are emotional processors. They remember how your energy made them feel. They remember how safe or unsafe they felt in your presence. A woman might not confront you directly when your actions don't align with your words, but she feels it. And once she feels that disconnect, she starts to pull back emotionally, even if she's still physically present. That's the beginning of a slow erosion of trust, attraction, and connection. What you need to understand is this: women don't need perfection. They need alignment. If your words are saying one thing but your actions are telling a completely different story, she's going to follow your behavior, not your mouth. Because actions don't lie. A man who cares shows up. He doesn't need to say, "You're important to me," every day. He simply makes her feel important through how he listens, how he checks in, how he respects her body and her mind. Post-intimacy, this becomes even more crucial. If you say you value her, but treat her like an afterthought the moment is over, your words lose weight. If you say you want something meaningful, but act like it's all casual and transactional, she will not trust you, no matter how sweet your words may sound. Emotional safety for a woman isn't built on what you said in the heat of the moment. It's built on what you do when the moment has passed. A woman doesn't want a man who can talk his way into her bed. She wants a man who can behave in a way that makes her feel emotionally secure long after the intimacy is over. Your behavior becomes her emotional proof. And in relationships, emotional proof matters more than verbal persuasion. If your actions can't match your words, don't be surprised when she starts listening with her eyes instead of her ears. Aftercare isn't just about being physically present. It's a reflection of your emotional depth, your maturity, and your respect for the person you just shared intimacy with. It's in the small gestures, your tone, your touch, your attentiveness, that a woman sees the real you. What you do in the moments after sex speaks volumes. It tells her whether she was just a moment of pleasure or someone you truly value. And believe this, women pay close attention to that. You may think the hard part is getting her into bed, but the truth is, what happens after that is what determines if she'll ever trust you again, respect you again, or even want to be near you again. Aftercare is not about being overly emotional or dramatic. It's about showing basic human decency and emotional intelligence. A simple gesture, holding her, asking how she feels, staying present instead of checking out, can create a sense of safety that's rare and powerful. On the other hand, rushing to clean up, immediately going cold, or acting like nothing significant happened sends a very different message. You see, sex is more than a physical act for most women. It's layered with emotion, vulnerability, and energy. Aftercare, therefore, is not optional. It's necessary. It's how you honor the emotional space she opened up to you. It's how you show her that what just happened wasn't just about you. If you fail in this area, you reveal a lot more than you think. You reveal your lack of empathy, your immaturity, your inability to connect on a deeper level. This is where many men get it wrong. They think as long as they were respectful before and during, their job is done. But it's after the act that the real test of character begins. A man who rushes out or turns silent immediately after intimacy shows he was only there for one thing. A man who's inconsistent post-intimacy confuses her, making her question everything she just shared with him. That confusion eventually leads to emotional detachment, disappointment, or worse, resentment. But when you take the time to be emotionally present after sex, to be kind, to listen, to simply remain grounded, you show that you're not just physically involved, but emotionally available. You show that you see her, not just her body, that you value the connection, not just the climax, and that you understand intimacy isn't over when the act ends, it's just beginning. Your aftercare is your truth. It reveals your integrity without needing to say a word. It shows whether you're a man who leads with intention or one who takes what he wants and leaves a mess behind. Women remember how you made them feel, especially when they were at their most vulnerable. If you want to be remembered as a man of worth, don't just focus on what you do during the moment. Focus on how you handle what comes after, because that's where your true character shows up. Many people treat sex like a finish line, as if once you've had it, the game is over, the goal has been achieved, and the pursuit can end. But in reality, sex is not the conclusion of connection, it's a mirror. It reflects who you truly are, how you handle closeness, vulnerability, and emotional responsibility. It doesn't hide your intentions. It exposes them. For women especially, intimacy isn't just about the physical act. It's about emotional presence, consistency, and safety. And once the act is over, everything you do next becomes a reflection of your true self. Sex doesn't create character. It reveals it. It shows how you treat someone when their guard is down. It shows how you carry yourself when there's no more chasing to do, when the excitement settles, and when it's just two people sitting with each other's energy. This is the moment where your emotional maturity either shines through or falls apart. Because any man can be charming when he's trying to impress her, but it's the man who stays respectful, attentive, and clear after the high has faded that truly stands out. If your energy shifts the moment sex happens, she will feel it. You don't have to say a word. Your silence, your distance, or your disinterest will speak for you. On the other hand, if you remain consistent, grounded, and emotionally present, she sees that too. She sees that the man you were before intimacy is the same man who's standing in front of her now. That's how trust is built, not in grand promises, but in honest, aligned behavior. For many women, sex is not about conquest or performance. It's about connection. It's about letting someone into her space, into her mind, and into her body. That level of openness isn't a game. It's sacred. So when a man approaches intimacy with shallow intention and then disappears or detaches afterward, he's not just showing disrespect. He's revealing that the version of himself she experienced before sex was never real. He was wearing a mask, and sex became the moment that unmasked him. This is why the idea of sex as a goal is so misleading. If you view it as the prize, your effort ends when it begins. But if you see it as a mirror, you'll realize it reflects your honesty, your emotional availability, and your ability to truly connect beyond the surface. And that's what sets real men apart from those who are just pretending to be one. When you treat sex as a mirror, you hold yourself accountable for what it reflects. You understand that what you do next, how you speak to her, how you care for her, how you show up, will define not just the relationship, but how she remembers you. And that memory, whether positive or painful, will always trace back to one thing: who you became once the moment of intimacy arrived. Silence after intimacy speaks louder than most words ever could. It's not always about what you say, it's about what you don't say. A woman notices the change in energy, the missing texts, the cold responses, the lack of follow-up. And while you might think you're being subtle, she hears everything. Because silence has a tone, a texture, and a message. When a man goes quiet after sex, it doesn't go unnoticed. In fact, it often echoes louder than anything he said before intimacy. This silence sends signals. It says, "I got what I wanted." It says, "I'm not emotionally available." It says, "You were a moment, not a priority." You may not mean it that way. Maybe you're confused, unsure, or simply uncomfortable with emotional closeness. But to her, your silence becomes a statement. It tells her where she stands. And usually, it's not where she thought she was. This is why communication after intimacy is so critical. It's not about writing love poems or making big promises. It's about showing up, emotionally and mentally, in a way that matches the vulnerability she just gave you. Women are emotionally intuitive. They don't need a formal goodbye to feel rejected. They don't need harsh words to know they're being dismissed. All they need is your absence. When you go silent, you allow her mind to fill in the blanks. She starts replaying every moment, every word, every look. She wonders if she was just convenient. She questions her judgment. And she begins to feel regret, not necessarily because of the act itself, but because of what your silence says about how little it meant to you. What many men don't realize is that emotional withdrawal can hurt more than the truth. A respectful, clear conversation, even if it means saying you're not ready for something deeper, is far more honorable than ghosting or avoiding. When you don't speak up, you force her to interpret your silence, and 9 times out of 10, her interpretation won't be favorable to you. It creates emotional confusion, self-doubt, and a sense of being discarded after being deeply vulnerable. Being silent after sex doesn't make you mysterious. It makes you unreliable. And women don't forget how that silence made them feel. They remember how loud the quiet was, how lonely it felt to be in the dark after giving you access to a deeply personal part of themselves. Your silence leaves an emotional footprint, one that lingers long after you're gone. If you want to be respected, remembered, and trusted, don't let silence speak for you. Say what needs to be said. Be honest. Be clear. Don't disappear just because the chase is over, because the way you act, or don't act, after sex reveals your maturity, your emotional intelligence, and your true intentions. And in relationships, those unspoken moments often say the most. In a world where physical attraction often takes center stage, emotional safety is the deeper need that rarely gets addressed, but it's the one that matters most. You can have all the chemistry in the world, but without emotional safety, it won't last. Women crave more than just connection through touch. They seek connection through trust, through presence, through consistent emotional behavior that makes them feel safe being themselves. If a woman doesn't feel emotionally secure with you, no matter how good the physical connection is, she'll never fully open up, and eventually she'll pull away. Too many men focus solely on how to impress a woman, how to attract her, how to get her attention, but they forget what it takes to keep her. And that's where emotional safety comes in. Emotional safety isn't about being overly sensitive or catering to every emotion. It's about creating an environment where she feels accepted, heard, and valued. It's about knowing she can express herself without being judged, that her boundaries will be respected, and that her vulnerability won't be used against her. After intimacy, this becomes even more important. That moment of physical closeness opens the door to emotional sensitivity. What you say, how you behave, and the energy you bring afterward can either make her feel safe and seen, or used and discarded. A woman doesn't want to feel like she was just a body for you to enjoy. She wants to know that she mattered to you beyond the moment, that she's not just wanted when she's naked, but also when she's real. Emotional safety also means consistency. If you're warm and affectionate one day, then cold and distant the next, you're creating instability. And for most women, instability is the opposite of safety. She begins to second-guess everything, your intentions, her own worth, and whether she made a mistake by letting you in. This emotional roller coaster drains trust, and without trust, the connection breaks down. It doesn't take much to create emotional safety. It takes intention. Be present. Listen when she talks. Don't make her feel silly for expressing emotions. Be clear about your feelings and your boundaries. Show up in the same way after sex as you did before. Emotional safety is built in the small, consistent ways you show her that her feelings matter, that her presence is valued, and that she's not just a temporary option. When a woman feels emotionally safe, she becomes more open, more affectionate, more connected. Her guard drops, her love flows. She feels at peace around you, and that's when the real magic happens. The truth is, anyone can spark desire, but only a man who builds emotional safety can create something lasting. So if you want to stand out, if you want to be remembered, if you want a real connection, focus less on the physical and more on the emotional, because that's where the real strength of any relationship lies. Consistency is the ultimate test of any man's intentions. It's easy to say the right things, show up once or twice with charm, and impress a woman in the beginning. But the real question is, can you keep showing up with the same energy, honesty, and presence when the excitement settles? Can you remain dependable after intimacy when the masks come off and emotional truth steps in? That's what separates someone worth trusting from someone just passing time. For women, consistency isn't about being predictable. It's about being reliable. It's the reassurance that she won't be left guessing where she stands with you. It's knowing that you won't disappear after you've gotten what you wanted, that you won't suddenly turn cold, stop calling, or switch up your behavior once the physical connection has been made. And when a man fails this test, the damage runs deep. It tells her that everything leading up to that moment was a performance, not a reflection of who you truly are. Inconsistency causes emotional instability. One day you're all in, calling, texting, being attentive, and the next day you're distant, unavailable, or simply too busy. That hot and cold energy isn't just confusing, it's emotionally exhausting. It makes her question your honesty. It makes her doubt her own judgment. And it trains her to feel unsafe in your presence, never sure which version of you she's going to get. Eventually, that kind of inconsistency chips away at trust until there's nothing left. What many men don't realize is that consistency isn't hard. It just requires clarity and integrity. If your intentions are real, your behavior will reflect that. You won't just be consistent when things are easy or exciting. You'll remain steady when things require effort, communication, and emotional presence. That's what builds emotional safety. That's what creates real intimacy. And that's what makes a woman feel secure in opening up, loving fully, and investing her time and energy in you. Consistency is also what keeps desire alive. When a woman feels emotionally safe and mentally secure, she can relax into her femininity. She can focus on connection, not protection. She can give from a place of joy, not from fear of being let down. This only happens when she sees that your words match your actions, not just once, but over time. Being consistent doesn't mean being perfect. It means being honest, grounded, and emotionally present. It means showing up when it matters, following through on your words, and keeping your energy aligned with your intentions. When a man is consistent, he becomes memorable, he becomes trustworthy, and more than anything, he becomes rare. Because in a world full of short-term attention and surface-level interest, the man who stays consistent is the one who stands out, and the one who ultimately wins. In the end, what you do after intimacy defines who you truly are. It's not about charm, smooth talk, or how well you played the game. It's about character, consistency, and emotional responsibility. A woman remembers how you made her feel when she was most vulnerable. Did you show respect? Did you offer reassurance? Did you remain grounded, or did you disappear? Sex is not a finish line. It's a mirror. It reveals your truth. So if you want to be seen as a man of substance, don't just focus on the physical connection. Prioritize emotional safety, follow through with care, and let your actions reflect your words. Because in the quiet moments after the passion fades, your behavior will either build her trust or confirm her fears. Choose wisely.